You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the September 4th meeting of the Michigan City Tree Board. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Okay, well, I'd like to call to order the September meeting of the Michigan City Tree Board here on September 3rd at 5:30. And I'm Mary Ellen Murphy, and Vice President, but Jim Melowitz is not able to make it, so I'll be running the meeting today. And Laura Henderson, our secretary, is not able to make it, so Jen Birchfield, thank you very much for taking minutes. We'll all speak very slowly so she can get good minutes. But happy to see you, Dominique and Betsy. And so we have 4, that's a quorum. So call the meeting to order. Okay, and I think I printed off the roll call.
I have it.
Oh, you have it. Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, could you? Sure. Thanks.
Jen Birchfield is present. Dennis Brittain is absent, I believe.
Right.
Dominique Edwards.
Present.
Betsy.
Here.
Laura Henderson is absent.
Right.
James Melowitz
Absent.
is absent. Mary Nell Murphy,
Here.
present. And Vidya Kora, absent.
Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is get a motion to approve the agenda, if everyone's had a chance to take a look at it. I know I'm gonna put in a couple things under new business, but that's what makes it new. I had sent out in an email a couple things I want to talk about, like ordering the trees and the board budget.
The agenda, is that what you?
Yes.
Oh, there is something that was left off of the agenda.
Okay.
And that is under committee reports. There's A, public relations. We should have a B, education and outreach.
Thank you. I think maybe because we took off something else on tree tag IDs.
Right.
The whole thing got taken off, so good
A
call.
little misunderstanding there.
Okay.
And I have an announcement
Yeah.
that I'd like to make, but I think that can just go under new business probably.
Okay. Okay, well, with the amended agenda of adding back in under 7 committee reports, B, education and outreach, and then just noting that I've got a couple items for new business and an announcement. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Betsy, thanks. And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, and then if you've had a chance to look over the minutes from the August meeting, I had just a couple things. One, mainly kind of typos. Under 6 communications, it's with Save the Dunes, SAVE, Save the Dunes. And then under, that was 6. And then under 7B, C, Betsy reported that she and Dennis Brittain staffed an info table. I think it was just, or attended, so, but the verb is missing there. So they were at the last farmer's market. And I can share these notes. Okay. And just a reminder, it was noted that we were not going to have a September, we're not going to go to the farmer's market this Saturday because we didn't have trees or not signed up for community tree, and many people can't make it. So we do plan on being there at the October one for informational purposes, but that would be our last one. And any other notes on the minutes? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes with those typo corrections? Okay, so moved and seconded. Thank you very much. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Okay, approval of minutes. Thank you. And Next, we have the treasurer's report, and it says no changes from August. I do just want to note, and I guess that's kind of actually one of my things, I can bring it up now rather than waiting under the new business. But Michael Wolfen noted that the board needs to submit our own separate budget, which I don't remember having done in prior years, but I'd like to reach out to Dr. Cota about submitting that, since he's our council rep. And one adjustment I'd like to make is I think currently there are $0 in the budget for education supplies. And at the last meeting, we talked about printouts and laminating and posters and, those kinds of things, especially if we're gonna, gear up for a big year coming up. I chatted with Laura as well, the secretary, and, vast knowledge of history of this this board. And she also liked the idea, so entertaining discussion about including, I just put it out there, $400.
Excellent idea. Ask for 500.
And just for clarification, because I'm new, I don't really know how the process goes back and forth. We can request and then they come back to us.
We don't either.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I think first we submit a budget,
Okay.
and again, that's new for us. And I think it's gonna be pretty much the existing budget that we, currently have, except upping that education supplies.
Okay.
Because even now, for like Earth Day, for printing off materials and making poster boards and things like that, it was a lot of the kindness of people's hearts. Thank you, Betsy, and others, I'm sure. So yeah, we need to up that.
Well, and I would also, I understand that, it was very clear in that email that the forestry department, the forester doesn't answer to us, and I understand that, but it seems to me that the two are somewhat interrelated, so I would just be curious what budget I would need to review. I do have the grant application, but if there were any funds in that for, is there an obligation of education and outreach? It seems that there was some education.
In the federal grant, yes, there are considerable funds, and they're mostly tied with our partnership with the Student Conservation Association.
Yeah, and I think that's great, and I do want to use those funds for that project. In addition, I think we'll be planting some trees, maybe some around the schools. We talked about maybe trying to get one at every school, and the Scouts, and other Earth Day, and other kinds of things that aren't with that wonderful, fabulous grant that we have. So I think we should ask. Let's ask. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So how do you feel about that?
So I was also wondering if there is like a kind of like activities calendar from throughout the year. So I'm assuming when farmers market season starts in May, you said through October. Well, I was going to say, what's the last day that you said that you plan for the tree board to be out there?
They close in October.
Okay.
And we do it the first Saturday. Kind of just by tradition, we fell into that. So we'll just do it till the first week in October.
Okay, the first.
I think an activities calendar is a great idea.
And then you can,
And then we should post that on our Friends of the Tree Board Facebook at the very least.
Because I was wondering if you have like an established activities calendar, so thinking for 2025, for example, what are already going to be established things that you're going to be out doing, and then justify what your budget looks like for that. So maybe for each activity, not just farmers market, but like any workshops, any speaking events, so you're automatically going to do something on Earth Day. So what does the budget look like for that? So do you need $50 to $100 for printing materials? What is capacity going to look like? How many volunteers are going to be needed for each event? How many people do you think are going to be needing to man the farmers market table? Things like that. So then that kind of will justify all activities that go into that budget. And I would just be super strict with breaking down the activities, providing like that budget narrative and the justification for it, and putting a dollar amount tied to it, so that there's no way or I shouldn't say there's no way, but there's less of a chance for the budget to be rejected.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's also a great suggestion to, instead of just asking for a lump sum, to
Describe what it's for.
describe what
Sure.
it's for. But in answer to your question about, do we know our schedule this far ahead? No, we don't, because the Arbor Day event, is about the end of April, but, give or take a few days. It's
We
not
can leave that a little vague at this point and
Yeah.
still say, we know that this is going to occur.
And likewise with the fall tree planting that we normally do, the dates of that can change.
I'm wondering if you just want to break it up even by like season. So we know we do X amount of events in the spring, we do X amount of events in the summer, and then we do X amount of events in
Yeah.
the fall. And then it doesn't have to be like a totally fleshed out calendar, but we already know that farmers market runs from May through October, so we know that we like to have a presence there. And then for like workshops or other events, so say you want to do, so say for example, if next year you want to bring in a speaker for a workshop or something like that, is there a speaker stipend available? Not something that's going to break the bank, right? But like, maybe something that's like $5,200 for a speaker stipend if you wanted to bring in something, someone special.
And the speaker was something Laura had mentioned as well, I forgot.
And then also, everybody is a volunteer. So is there, if folks are picking up trees, loading trees, storing trees, and things like that, like, is there any type of, like a stipend for volunteers for compensation for gas, right? So, I've driven X amount of miles all over the city or, between the county or something like that. Can somebody throw me $20 in gas money or something like that? And I don't know what the process looks like for that. I know it's probably going to be messy municipally, so.
What Laura mentioned is that she thinks we need to get the budget in as, sooner rather than later, like
Okay.
fairly quickly.
Okay.
So, general seasonal things sound good. We're kind of making our way here on everything. Our main efforts have been hiring a forester and trying to get volunteers. And yeah, as I mentioned, it's the budget part has just come out of the board members just taking it on themselves. But those are all excellent ideas, and I think we all need to get working on that. What would be the next step in getting that budget?
Who's the budget supposed to go to?
Well, this is the first we've heard that we have to submit one.
Okay.
So it's Michael Wolf said that the board has to submit our own separate budget. And I think previously it rolled over from what it had been.
I think honestly for me, next steps, I would like to see Michael's budget for the forestry department. Because
Sure.
I understand they're separate, but I think that informs to a certain extent
Of what we need
of
to.
what we need to do, because I know that there will be education and outreach through that. I know there will be volunteer recruitment through SCA. So, I think the things that are clearly distinct that the tree board has handled in the past are the Earth Day event, the
Right.
farmer's market,
Right.
the library presentations. As you said, if we do end up assisting, as I have in the past, and I think you have in the past, with driving trees around or things of that nature, those are the things that would be clearly discreetly tree board, to my knowledge. But
Sounds like you guys really need to talk to the mayor and the city controller
yeah,
to find out what you need to do.
yeah.
Sounds
And I know it's
right.
coming up fast.
Well, and then where does some of the funding sit? Like, is it CDBG? Is it general fund? Because then that gives a better idea of how that looks. Because I have also like done a budget justification and submitted it to the city, so I can take a stab at it if you would like. Especially
I
if it's
would love
only.
that.
I was gonna volunteer via email, but figured I would have, like, we would probably end up having to discuss this in more detail. And I mean, $500 is a small budget, right?
Oh,
I'm not
it is.
I'm not saying milk the general fund, but at least make sure like everything is covered for throughout 2025. So then there's no hiccups, say, come middle of summer, whoops, we've exhausted that $500 because we've done X amount of events and whatever. Because I mean, I think that depending on print, that can get sucked up pretty fast, especially if you outsource your printing. So say you go to Office Max and you need 100 or 200 flyers for something. Oops, there's $200 out of the like overall fund, you know.
So I have as next steps, I think that's a good point, that we need to talk to the mayor and the city controller because we haven't done this in the past.
Well, and I think Dr. Carter will be able to help
Okay,
smooth some of that as our city council liaison.
Yeah, and then I have also as next steps, just make sure we're covered for those known events. And also to, get with Michael and also the grant application to see where the overlap is, because there may be, it depends on what we're talking about. If we're talking about doing flyering door to door of would you like to have a tree planted in your yard? Or,
That's part of the grant.
That might be part of the grant, so I think we need to be very clear how these things overlap.
Yes.
And I think it's a really good idea to just understand what grants are coming in, just having an eye on that in regards to what is generally coming in around anything forestry, even though that's going to be like its own. I know we're trying to say that we're separating those funding buckets, but like you said, if there's elements of education and outreach that are a part of those grants, like, then we don't need to, in a way, double dip when we're submitting the budget.
We can support with tree board assistance,
Right.
but have, those funds covered.
And then maybe even put line items in the budget of, we understand that this funding mechanism exists, is tied to this either federal or state level grant, but where do we factor in the support mechanisms of where the tree board participates?
Yeah.
So.
I agree.
Now, the money for the trees we give away in the spring, do we pay for that, or is that a gift from the DNR?
Oh, yeah, in the spring, we pay for that.
Well, that should be in our budget too.
Yeah,
By the tree board?
Yeah, right now we pay for that out of donations, and we really should put that in our budget. I mean, if
and
we
I
don't
think
get
the
it,
existing, I think the existing budget, covers
We
that.
just need to separate it from the.
well,
I thought it was like under materials or something like that.
well, we have a small budget for office materials, and I don't think we've used that for.
Right, and that doesn't really cover,
No,
the
so
printouts and.
so we need to ask for more than $500.
Oh, yeah, I'm
And-
good, I was
I
afraid
don't
to
know
ask
what
for.
we
ask high
typically
and-
Yeah,
spend
sure.
for the tree giveaway on Arbor Day. Does anybody remember?
I don't remember.
It's a few $100s.
Mhm. Yeah, you know what, I think it's $74 a bundle, and the reason I only said 5 species, because they're bundles of 100.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, we can estimate, $500, for, the trees, or 400. And that's been covered out of there.
well, I think we should ask for $500 for the trees in case the price goes
Yes,
up.
yeah,
And $500 for education and outreach.
I'm fine with 1,000.
Sure.
And I did go a couple of years ago to the city council where they were approving budgets, and I did speak on behalf of the tree board, thanking them for what they were, giving us. So,
Sure.
I mean, so that's what usually it is. I mean, they have this budget that we've been looking at, and it rolls over, and there isn't anything we actively have to do unless we want to, like we're saying, designating $500 for trees and $1,000 for educational materials.
Yeah, I think it's
Well, I
good to
thought it was
break it.
500 and 500 is what I was suggesting.
I upped it to 1,000.
I think
Okay.
ask high. They'll come.
Yeah, if they want to come down, are you okay with
Right.
asking for 1,000?
Sure.
Okay. Educational materials. Okay.
Because there's no certainty that we'll get the grant that I applied for, which would cover quite a bit of our educational materials.
And that was the Unity Foundation grant?
Right, we don't hear from them until later this month.
Okay.
And if we do, do we put that in our budget as
Revenue and.
right, and then so this has come in, but we still have to pay for the educational materials.
Well, I don't know how that works either, but I would like it to be under our funds
Yeah.
that are earmarked for us and not just into the general
Right.
city fund.
Right.
So we'll decide that when the time comes.
Okay, so should we get a motion about this, or are we still kind of in the planning stage for the budget with 500 for trees and 1,000 for education
I
materials?
move that we ask our council liaison to submit a budget on behalf of the tree board and with the figures that we just discussed.
Okay, 500 for trees and 1,000 for educational materials. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Very good, and all in favor, any other discussion?
I will just
Yes.
note,
Yes.
I agree, but I will also just note that some of the notes that Dominique made about kind of justifying things,
Yes.
that we should consider that in the process, but
Excellent.
Absolutely.
And I'll take a stab at just drafting something.
Excellent.
So, just to get folks' like input and feedback on appropriate activities and things like that. Because I think I kind of have like a good idea of like some of the education engagement activities that have happened over the course of the year. So yeah.
Wonderful. And then I think this is good, because this will give us something to start with, and we can always make it amendments and adjust it. Okay.
And as a follow-up, if we're going to ask Dr. Cora to present this,
Yeah.
I think we should give him a little bit of what we are talking about in writing,
Yes,
so that he's not out on a limb.
sure. Absolutely agree, and I will do that. I sent something this afternoon, and I kind of asked, planted a seed about that, or an acorn perhaps I should say. Okay, any other discussion before we vote on that? Okay, all in favor then of drafting this budget with these numbers, say aye. Opposed? Passed. Okay, excellent. So that was under kind of number 5, treasurer's report, and, about the budget. And I think also a good discussion of wanting to, be able to review with Michael, what he's going to be submitting to the mayor as well on his budget. Okay, communications, I had a couple of things. Can I just jump in? One, this was back, and Betsy, you and Laura and others had discussion on this like mid-August about the oak trimming that took place, and we had the same discussion last August about how city workers should not trim, and no one should trim oaks in August, not until like November, because of oak wilt issues. So I think that got addressed, bubbled up and addressed again, but I'm afraid it might have to get addressed every year. So maybe we send something out proactively in May.
Well, I'm thinking that if it's city workers, it's part of Michael's oversight to ensure that they have the training and that doesn't happen again.
Okay, so
I would say, I see that Michael in his report, which is ahead of where we are, but he's made employee handbooks. I would ask if that's included. I haven't seen the actual handbook, I'm not sure if that was sent, but ask that be included in training, and just made very explicit. And I'm not, I understand that things happen, you're doing triage out there.
Sure.
If there's a tree that is really problematic, really hazardous, you're worried about liability or damage, that there might be cases, but I would say that needs to be approved through Michael to get permission to prune an oak in proper season.
agreed.
And what is the workflow for city employees that are out in the field doing the trimming and whatnot? So do they?
I'm not sure,
Was
because
it maybe an issue of a tree that was like in the right of way, like a public right of way, and so?
Well, if someone calls the city about a tree that they're concerned about, it's supposed to go directly to Michael. Michael Wolf, the city forester. And as he mentions on all his reports, that he addresses forestry calls and residential tree issues and concerns. So he does that in person. He goes out and looks to see what if the tree is on city property and what the issue is. And I'm sure there's some cases where a citizen is worried, but you know, it may not be much of a problem. In some cases where immediate action is required. So that's his call, and that's why we hired a certified arborist to make these calls.
I think what happened, looking at the notes with this, is there was a call and some trimming was done, and then the worker, I don't know if they were talked into it or they saw like, oh, there's an oak that needs some trimming. You know, I will do
Yeah, we're not even.
I will add on this extra and
I
so I
thought
think
it
the
was.
training, you know, is going to be
Right.
helpful.
I thought it was a little unclear as to whether the person who was doing this was part of a forestry crew or just doing something on his own, so we didn't get a real.
And I forgot what the email had stated. We said that these were our city workers that did this,
That's,
That was my
I don't-
impression.
that was my impression.
or are we sure that it wasn't like a private landscaper?
So the last thing that came was apparently it was in fact city employees and appears to be a limited event. A city employee responded appropriately to a citizen request, then decided to go ahead and do a bit more pruning since he had the tools out. This involved 14 of the street trees. And the oaks were there and 3 oaks were trimmed.
So I don't think we need to make a federal case out of it for this
Right,
employee, but
right.
I do think it just speaks to the need for training.
Yeah.
We, at Nerve City, we had a tree pruning workshop, and I was very pleased that we had, I think, 5 to 10 Michigan City employees come all the way out to Lake County to attend that.
That's
And they
great.
learned a lot. They were so grateful. They were just soaking up the knowledge. But it was clear that they were the ones doing the pruning and they didn't know exactly what to do. So I think they attended, they're learning,
Good,
but we need to support them in
yes.
that learning.
Yes.
Because they want to do the right thing, you know, they want to do it properly.
And I mean, are there ways that we can increase training opportunities for city employees? 'Cause I think maybe the challenge is like lack of capacity in in some ways. If they're just and obviously like from the communication, there seems to be a step missing from the workflow in regards to. So where does Michael fit into the framework of that? So if they're just out. And if it's a street crew and they're just out doing what they know to do, so you know they some of them might be new. We don't know, and they've failed to check in with the city forester to make sure that you know.
Well,
hey,
that
this was
should never happen.
Yeah.
That should never happen, that somebody's just doing something on their own.
right.
And I don't think the tree board is responsible for training city workers.
No, but Michael is on that. Michael is,
He's mentioned it.
yeah.
Yeah, how we interact, in my view, is that we advise the forester and he advises us. So if you read the handbook that he gave out last time, that's kind of the relationship that most tree boards have. We are not his boss and he's really not the boss of us either. So I think that, I'm sure he understands our point of view at this point.
And I think just communicating it to him, you know, so that he's fairly new in that position, so he can take appropriate action.
And I'm not saying that we do the training, but I'm saying identifying more training opportunities for city employees
Yeah,
to make sure that they're
and support each other in
knowledgeable.
that.
Right. So.
Yeah. And, yeah, Michael was on that email thread on that, on the oak wilt issue. So I think we're covered there. I was just gonna mention, I put a couple things up on Facebook, some events. There's a talk that's gonna be happening at the library on how urban environments can be improved, and I'm sure it's gonna involve tree planting.
When is that?
September 25th, 5
Oh.
o'clock at the
Okay,
LaPorte Library.
Oh, LaPorte. Okay, no, I didn't get that.
Pardon?
What, I'm sorry, could you?
The time, it's September 25th, 5 p.m. The Potawatomi Audubon Group is meeting and they're having the speaker come in.
Okay, can you send that to me by email, because I don't get the Facebook.
Right, okay. I will check. I thought I was kind of active this afternoon. I may have done that, but if not, I will do it. Yeah, I think I did. Let's see. And I also, another communication, I received something from Nancy Moldenhauer, who's a council member, and she's a liaison for the sustainability group. And there was, I think, 2 Zoom meetings coming up on some activities on tree planting that related. It was called like Faith and Growth, something like that. So
There's a group called Faith in Place.
yes, that could be it. That could be it. So I put that on Facebook as well with
Okay.
the flyer that she had sent. But I'll send that around,
Is
but I
that
thought I did this
local?
afternoon.
Is that a local group? Because we should be sending them our invitation to our,
Right, so our activities.
I know they're active in Gary and Lake County. It would be great to hear if they're active here.
yes.
I'll check. Okay, so any other communications?
Is that all you got with the, sounded like there was another one.
The only thing that I would add is that thank you for creating a Facebook post for the arborist program.
Oh yeah, that's right, the apprentice.
I did forward that flyer to Betsy, who is the communications person for Michigan City Area Schools.
A different
No, no.
Betsy.
Different Betsy.
Different Betsy.
Cone. And I suggested and asked that she share it to Peach Jar, which goes out to all Michigan City Area Schools families. She responded that she would share it more with like the high school technical
Right.
audiences. So I believe that she has shared it with
Great.
that audience.
Excellent.
But it sounds as though you have some recruits potentially already from Michigan City, so that's
Oh,
good.
good. Very glad to hear that. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, we have over, we have the events tomorrow,
Okay.
and we have over 20
20!
apprentices.
Excellent.
And quite a few of them are local from Michigan City.
Do you have any need for support from us for that event?
I mean, anybody who wants to attend, of course you can, and support it in that way, but we have it all lined up. We've got coffee and donuts in the morning, a 2 to 3 hour session at Work 1.
Which is in this building,
Yeah.
which is
The gymnasiums we're gonna
301 East 8th Street.
It's gonna be in the gymnasium in this building.
Great.
We've got a 1 hour presentation from Steve Lane. So we used a presentation we did a couple of years back at the Chicago School of Agriculture, I believe it's called.
Uh-huh.
Steve Lane's with our staff. He's a really good public speaker, educator, so he's gonna be putting up a presentation. Then we're gonna watch a 1 hour video from the TCI about what an arborist is and what
Great.
it does. And then just some networking, and then we're gonna go up to Washington Park at 12:30.
In the
We got
afternoon.
pizza coming for that one, so we got donuts, coffee, and pizza. So
We're covered.
That's a pretty good support.
I think being an arborist is all about eating junk food. We're gonna have a arborist demo set up there. We're gonna break into 3 groups. We're gonna have one climber in the tree and then someone on the ground to discuss what the climber's doing up there, just like how we ascend a tree, how we prune, why we prune, what we prune, that kind of thing. And then I'll be leading group 2. We're gonna be pruning there's some crab apples and some hawthorns and some small ornamentals, some Japanese tree lilac.
Excellent.
I'm gonna be doing like some small, something that they can see and
Yeah.
where it's right kind of in our face. And then Steve's gonna lead the 3rd group, which is gonna be doing more kind of urban forestry work. We're talking about tree species and the difference in different species, and maybe talk a little about tree planting and watering and mulching and that kind of thing. So
That's
and
excellent.
that lasts. So it's from 9 to noon here, and then 12:30 to 3:30 at the park. But we have the flyer really circulated a lot. I know you guys were responsible for that, so thank you. I'm sure that was responsible for quite a bit of the attention that it drew.
Good.
It went out through many channels, so
Good.
it was good to see we got the turnout. And there's going to be more too, because a lot of people walk in to Work 1. There's probably people who saw the flyer that didn't respond. The numbers we're coming up with were people that did the survey online. We had, if you saw the flyer, there was a link to the Indiana Arborists Association where they filled out a flyer about what their level of interest and experience was and what kind of work they've done before. And So we got 21 or 22 of those. I've gotten phone calls through our business line with people that were getting information about when and where that I sent the flyer to via email. And then Work One has people that walk in throughout the morning as a regular part of what they do. So we'll capture them in and see what we can do. But
That's great.
I would say that it's very likely, and I know at the last meeting it was one of your strategic goals, was to get the Michigan City apprentice from Michigan City, and I really clearly don't see that that's going to be a problem, because I think we've got quite a few already from here.
Good.
Great.
So, and with Work One being here and being willing to host for us,
That's wonderful.
we reached out to them through the Center of Workforce Innovations in Valparaiso, and it was like, this is perfect, because Michigan City's going to have one, possibly two. Mike was going to get back to me after talking to the mayor about that. So he was willing to take two. He just got to find out if it's
In the budget, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know his budget, as you guys said before. You haven't seen it either, so that's up to the mayor apparently. So we're really excited about it, and really the next step after this is to once we've seen, because if we do have 20 plus people coming, some of them are going to see what we do and be like, man, that's not for me. The ones that are, then we will basically set up another time where the employers can interview them, and then we obviously want the employers to be comfortable with who their apprentice is, so we're kind of an intermediary at this point, just playing like matchmaker. And it's not really going to be up to us. I think at the end of the day it's going to be up to the employer. So like, we'll use Mike as an example. Like, he'll say, hey, I really saw this person, I saw this person, that would be who I would like. If that person says, okay, I would come to Michigan City, then we should be good. But you guys are like in a catbird seat for this right now, because there's more attention put right on Michigan City than anywhere really. So the program started as Lake, Porter, and LaPorte County, and they graciously extended it into St. Joseph County, because Notre Dame was also interested in taking, not Notre Dame, I'm sorry.
South Bend?
South Bend.
They got a big
Forestry
grant.
Department wanted two, and Notre Dame wants one, but not till next year. So that's gonna help jumpstart it, but then like the goal is after year 3 is to launch this statewide.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, good. Yeah, and there'll be lots to do, and then like the apprentices that don't get, picked up for being an apprentice.
And the hopper for next year.
Right, and, with the grant, working with that.
Yeah.
That's
We're gonna try to keep them all involved. The ones that don't get chosen, we're gonna try to keep involved with.
good.
Maybe connect them with SCA.
Yes.
Maybe just reach out to them when there's volunteer projects, community. There's like lots of ways that we intend to try to keep them interested and kind of, because there's other things that, that can happen too. Like there could be attrition in the program. We want to keep them close, because maybe one of these apprentices is like goes through the first 4 or 5 months, and we get to December, January, and they're like, okay, this isn't for me. I tried, it's not what I want to do. And we want to have a replacement, because that's vital to the program that keeps rolling.
And we ultimately want to see a pathway from, we'll have an SCA crew here of 5, I believe. So, someone could get their feet wet and see if they like the work through that program, and then advance in the future through the Arborist program. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and have a route like that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and so the goal is in 3 years that Mike will have another certified arborist out in the field, because he has all the administrative duties that a forester has to do to oversee the tree population, and have somebody out in the field that's qualified as a certified arborist.
He needs
And then
support.
some, I don't know if you want to call them hidden benefits, but other things that can happen as a result of that is maybe some of the existing staff goes, hey, if this guy's become a certified arborist, maybe I should become a certified arborist, and then we'll be like
That's
South Bend and have 4
right.
certified arborists on staff.
Oh, that would be
Wow.
a dream.
So it's the dream. So it's
Yeah,
coming
I
together.
didn't think about the potential to recruit city employees who are already.
NERC submitted a grant proposal for that. It didn't get funded, but that's a big idea of mine, is utilize the existing city staff. They're doing the work. So get them trained up, support them in getting trained up properly.
Now, do they get classes in addition to the field training?
Yep, it's over the course of the 3 years, like 1,200 hours of classroom classroom study. We
So
have
they'll be
3
working.
instructors lined up who are top-notch. They're committed. One is from Purdue. He took Lindsay's spot when Lindsay retired. So he's the director of forestry at Purdue. The second one is Matt McBain, who is the city forester of Valparaiso. And the third one is Brian Gresham, who is a safety coordinator for Townsend. And he is, he's got quite a, him and his wife run the Indian Arbor Association climbing competition, and he was a competitive climber for years. He's a safety coordinator for Townsend, which he's.
I think we interviewed him.
Yeah, he did, yes, he did. So he's gonna be the third instructor. So he's gonna be doing the
Excellent.
climbing and the pruning and the safety aspect of everything.
Great.
So it's all coming together, it's just,
That's
it's taking a
fantastic.
lot of work, and we're really not, we're really still only, we're really hit the ground in April, so we're really only on a.
Teach them not
That's
to,
amazing.
teach them not to prune oaks.
No, I was listening.
I think that's high on the list.
And as a point of order, it's not just about oak wilt either, we got a multitude of diseases that we gotta stay away from.
Right.
Oak decline in so many different ways, bur oak blight, everything, it's all transferred through. Or, as they say, percentage of it are transferred through oak bark beetles, which are gonna be attracted to fresh cuts. So I couldn't agree more with November, because too many people push it. August is way too early for that, still activity.
Yeah.
And you see insects out, don't prune it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Phil, so very much for all you're doing, and thank you for a great report on what's going on with that. It's a very exciting time. Yes.
Phil already kind of has the floor.
Yeah.
If he wanted to give us some other message while you're here, so
Yeah,
you
be
don't
respectful
have
of
to.
your time.
I
have to
do
stay
actually
for
came
now.
with, for 2 reasons. The other one is to report on the tree inventory.
Great. Oh, wonderful.
It is underway as we speak. We got started yesterday.
Yay!
Oh, wonderful.
And we've got, it's me and 2 other arborists, so we've got about, I didn't really look at the other day, but we probably got close to 800 trees on the map at this moment. I've been
How many?
personally working in, about 800.
800?
Yeah, yep. I've personally been working at Elston Grove, so that's where I've been, and we started at the library and then we spread out because we don't want to overlap each other, and it's been going really, really well. What we typically do is get about 500 trees in and take a quick break and get the information over to the GIS coordinator, who in your case works for the wastewater management plant or water treatment plant? Water treatment.
Sanitary clean.
Anthony is his name. He's the GIS coordinator for the city. And we don't want to get too far in and then see that
Yes.
there's some issue.
Yes.
So we want to make sure all the points overlap. We ran a little more because we're going to be here tomorrow anyway. One of the other arborists that's with me on the job is going to be the guy that does the climbing part of the demonstration tomorrow. And then after Thursday, we're probably going to regroup, send the data over to Anthony. When he gives us the thumbs up, we'll come back to town and keep working at it. It's going to be ongoing through November, I think was, if I recall my time frame on that. But what I did want to say about that is this is the first of the grant money that's being spent.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing to talk about. And so many of the things that I heard you discussing here about like workflow and work protocol and like how it goes from like the resident request to Michael to the crew. And I'm not saying that this has to be this way or it will be this way, but this tree inventory, because it's such a great planning tool for you guys, and especially for Michael, is that I think there's a better way we can organize that protocol, and Mike's on board to hear all these suggestions, because having that accurate and new data is going to be so important, because it's going to be a
Yes.
huge time saver, so much more efficient. And I'll just give you a couple quick examples from just hearing your conversation. When that resident calls, he's got that information in his fingertips.
Good.
So many of those visits can be done without actually visiting the site. When you talk about, oh, is it a private tree, is it a parkway, is it on the parkway or the tree lawn? We'll know right there from the computer, okay, yeah, you better go look at this tree, because when Great Lakes River Forestry is out there, they record it as a poor condition tree and it's on a removal list or whatever it is. Or they could look at it and say, hey, this is a really healthy tree, it's a 6 inches in diameter.
I love that. It's not
hazard here.
subjective.
Or it's not on the map at all because it belongs on private property. So that'll help a lot. And the other thing is, talking about work orders and the forestry crew out there pruning trees, with all the data in there, there's a work order system through ArcGIS Online, which is your platform that's housing this data, that we can create that work order system so we could highlight all the removals that Mike wants his crew to do this week. They're all the red dots on the map. Go get the red dots on the map. Don't prune any oaks. If somebody comes out and there's a limb here, a limb there, look at the system. How did it get inventoried as? Like, is this tree supposed to be pruned? Is this tree supposed to be pruned? Is it already on the list? I believe part of the funds from this grant is, it's obviously for the planning aspect, the discovery, what we're doing. Then it's gonna go into, tree removal and hazard tree pruning.
Yes,
And then tree planting. There's
Right.
money in each one of those buckets.
yes.
So, and a result of this is I will be providing Mike with a list of here's everything that needs to come down in priority order. Here's your priority ones, your high priorities, here's the priority twos, here's the low priorities, here's the hazard prunes, here's all your open planting spaces. Let's find the best ones and get species in there. And there's gonna be a huge improvement when this is over. I'm just very excited about it because we've done this before and I've got a lot of experience doing it, and I just like getting these projects underway because when you see them through, they're great.
And we're long overdue for something like this, so we're all excited about,
Yeah, thank you.
what Michigan City's gonna look like, and very grateful for the work you're doing.
So,
Thank you.
and I'm excited to be here. I'm invested when I get into these towns. Jen knows that.
Yes.
I'm just like, I want to see this thing through and see all the improvement because it's going to be huge.
Is there anything that we can do as the tree board to support?
I would say some resident outreach always helps. We sent Mike an email a week before last just saying, if you let the police department know, because people call all the time, like, what are these people doing? And it's not like we mind being asked, but occasionally we get the police calls.
Sure.
Maybe-
It's roll up and they're
Maybe
like,
we could do a Facebook post just saying,
Yeah.
hey, we've
Yeah.
got this huge
Just-
grant and here's what's
exactly.
going on.
public outreach would be
If you
great.
see someone, yeah.
This is what's going on, it sparks interest, it gets people talking about it. It raises the awareness, and then they're like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna be planting a lot of trees, this is great. And we'll find out who wants them and who doesn't. I know that's a goal of yours too.
And I think with the grant too, there is like PR, funding in there too, of like people that can come up with things like that we can post to Facebook, so that we're not, reinventing the wheel, I hope.
So that would be a great thing you could do.
It's great.
And one last thing, and then I promise I'll be done,
Oh, no.
is another goal that I have is to help you guys get more funding. Now, I know I asked this last time, and I'm sorry for not remembering. Who is your pass-through, who got assigned as your pass-through agency? Do you know? Or that's probably a Michael question.
So I think that was before Michael's time that the grant was submitted, but it was under Michael's time that it was finalized, the contract work. So it would be a Michael question. I think you know Nicole Messiker. I
Yes.
think that the grant was submitted on her watch, but I believe it was submitted by the tree board. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it was Tim Warner, and then I signed off as well.
Okay. So
At that time.
it was submitted by the tree board, but it is a grant to Michigan City. Is that correct?
Correct.
But so you guys got it in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys in LaPorte, I believe, were the two that got what we call direct funded. Because they didn't go through, like the Indiana DNR, Indian Arborist Association with this apprenticeship program. Everyone else, came in to get their funding. And typically what happens is like the DNR comes in and asks for like 12 million, and then they are the pass-through agencies,
I see.
which the federal government, where this stems from, they don't want to deal with every little municipality, so they're going to give 12 million to Trees Forever and to the Morton Arboretum and to local DNRs or state level DNRs, and then the state level DNRs then put an application out, okay, and then they're the pass-through agency. But like with you guys in LaPorte, you got direct funded, but they assigned you a pass-through agency on the back end after you got funded, because they don't want to deal with all the administrative part.
we
Is
aware of
that
that?
SCA? Would that be SCA?
Well, SCA is our partner, but they're not a government agency.
I think that would be a Michael question,
Yeah, I'll ask.
and perhaps it's somewhere in some of the emails and grant application
Okay.
materials, but I'm not aware of who that agency would be.
In LaPorte, they got a group called CorpsNet from Washington DC. And so,
I wonder if we got.
one of the things that I do that I want to do, I want to make this a goal, is to get you guys more funding. Because what you're gonna find out, we're gonna make a big difference, trust me, you're gonna see that, we got this. But what you're gonna find out is that $1 million is gonna run out a lot faster than
Sure.
we want it to.
Sure.
So the goal is to get more. And one way that you can get more is by showing them how great you did with the first $1 million, if this makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And what we're doing right now in LaPorte is, I'm providing them with data, maps, plans, all this kind of stuff. And we've done this elsewhere for years, is like when they see it, they go, okay, these guys are spending money the right way. They're not just saying, hey, here's a list, call a contractor, go up to, no, they're getting priority lists, like seeing RFPs, trying to find the lowest bidder. And if they see that we're spending this responsibly, then we're more likely to be able to apply again. This time we can apply through the DNR and get funded again.
DNR, GRI.
We've been reporting to Drew Hart at Fish and Wildlife.
The Forest Service?
Yes.
Forest Service.
Forest
Yeah,
Service, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So that might be your pass through then.
Oh, okay, oh, yeah, I
I
would
see
think,
Drew. Drew might be coming tomorrow.
okay, yeah. Yeah, we've been working very closely with him, so I think that's a likely suspect.
Then that.
Or at least he would know
He
the
would
answer
know,
to
yeah.
the question.
True.
Mike will, and Mike said he was gonna be there tomorrow too.
And I'll
Yeah,
ask
there,
Drew
here.
too, yeah.
We'll find out, because what I wanna do is send them a monthly report whether they ask for it or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Thank
I
you.
always give one to Mike anyway, or to the forester, because we do like monthly progress updates. Here's the progress map, here's how much we've done, here's how much we've gotta go,
Great,
here's what we're seeing, that kind of thing. It really behooves you if we take that and send it to the pass-through agency.
sure.
Yeah.
Because it just wows them, and they're like, wow, these people are doing something.
And I would say, I want to go through proper channels, but if you're already generating that from Michael, I'd love to see a copy of it as well. I keep my eye on grant opportunities as well. So, it'd be great to just have that information available.
And then does Michael have the support that he needs on the back end for grant reporting and tracking and all of that? I'm assuming a lot of that is probably going through the city controller, but
He seems to, from my conversations with him, but I think that's a good idea to ask him directly if he does have, all of the support that he needs.
So I know it was a lot, it was
'Cause
two
it's a
separate
lot.
things, but I appreciate your
Oh,
time.
we appreciate,
Appreciate you, Dominique.
thank you.
So
Nice
I
to
don't
meet you,
think
sir.
we've met before, so.
Really appreciate you coming.
And if you need to leave, that's perfectly okay.
but you're welcome to stay.
Welcome to
I'll stick
stay.
around. Let's hear what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I have another, I'll wait until new business for it, but I have another kind of funding capacity opportunity that I'd like to share with the board.
Okay.
Okay, well, going back to the agenda, I think now we're up to 8, the Forester's report.
Oh, no, I think we missed committee reports.
I thought we talked about public relations and education and
No, we
outreach.
didn't talk about
Okay,
all of education and outreach.
okay.
So last month I asked Michael or whoever was making the agenda to drop the reference to tree ID tags because that hasn't been an active project in quite some time.
And he did.
And he did, but they also dropped the whole education and outreach
Yes.
line.
Yes.
So the next thing we're doing for education and outreach is my talk at the Michigan City Library.
That's right.
And I'm going to pass these flyers down and ask everyone to take a few
And spread the word.
and post it on your various social media accounts.
And so this is for Tuesday, September
Yes,
17th
coming up fast.
at 6 p.m. the 17th at 6 p.m. at the Michigan City Library. And Betsy, what will you be talking about?
And appreciate any members of the tree board to attend, and we will probably have some other flyers or information if people want it. I think I'll be repeating a good part of what I did last time, hopefully for a bigger audience, because I arranged this with the library some time ago. And I think that is the key thing, is to get on their schedule more than a month ahead of time.
Because they put out a flyer.
Yeah,
They
good.
put out a flyer, they put it in the Beecher, et cetera. So I'm going to be, the title is Growing Michigan City's Urban Forest. So
Nice.
it's going to be some general information about preserving trees, planting trees, taking care of trees, that much. Although I'm going to spend a little time talking about relaying the fact that we have an inventory underway and what our, just a really sketchy outline of our 5-year plan. How we're inventory this year, and I guess the hazard tree removal would be next year, before we start any planting. I've been trying to reach Leopold from the SCA to see if he wants to send anybody to this.
I have been in communication with Leo. I invited him tonight. He said that he would be on vacation this week.
Okay.
So that might be why he hasn't been responsive, but I will follow up with him again and see if he would be able to attend.
It's interesting, the last people we had more people last time from Michigan than from Michigan City.
We're very close to the border.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, it's a process. So
Thank you for doing that, too.
well, I've got a PowerPoint show already in the hopper, so it's not hard to, do that. We don't really need any new handouts. I know last time Dennis came equipped with all these piles of paper. That doesn't seem to be what people are interested in. So I'm going to ask the tree board not to, make any more handouts.
Okay.
We'll use what we have, and taking the questions is probably the more useful part of this. So if you give me the contact information for the Save the Dunes and the Faith in Place, I'd be happy to send something to them too.
Okay.
And anybody else who's been in communication with us.
Okay. I mean, you can just Google Save the Dunes, it'll come up.
All right,
Yeah.
all right, but Faith in Place is in different locations, so I
I'll
have
see what I
no
can find out
idea
on that one. Yeah.
who to direct that to.
I might have a lead on that.
Oh, okay, great.
I was actually gonna bring
I'll ask
up-
you after the meeting.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring up that there was recently an event over in Lake County for tree canopy and workforce, and Faith in Place was involved in that. And so I guess there is a community grant opportunity for $30,000 for houses of worship and 501c3s to support tree planting and maintenance projects on, I guess maybe private properties. So,
And that's those 2 Zoom meetings are what I posted.
oh, is that what that is for too?
Yeah, I got that info from Nancy Moldenhauer, and so I today, so I put it on the website, on our Facebook page, Friends of Michigan City Tree Board, today.
And is that grant only for Lake County? Did you say?
It looks like, well, I mean, it says that it's open for houses of worship and 501c3 organizations. So that might be, so I'll look into this opportunity a little bit more, and then I'll also reach out to the folks that posted it. So maybe if you wanted to do, is Faith in Place going to be doing one of these virtual events? Or?
They're doing 2 Zooms,
Okay.
and I think one of them's tomorrow,
Okay.
and then the other one's on the 10th.
That would be great though, Dominique, if you look into that and share any information with me, because I see a lot of opportunity for connecting with faith-based organizations in Michigan City. That's a great mechanism for community engagement.
Getting volunteers and.
We have people here who are involved in the Interfaith Alliance here in Michigan City. We have a diversity of different faiths here, so I'd be very interested in, connecting with them and seeing if they're interested, if this is something they pursue.
Well, not only that, as a certified arborist, I'm available as a speaker. I don't know if they want to get all of my PowerPoint program either, but to talk about any aspect that they're interested in, unless they, have somebody else that's going to cover it the whole time.
And then we could also do some educational opportunities at Walker Street as well. So
What's Walker Street?
Walker Street Park Community Garden.
Is that in Michigan City?
That is. It's in the Eastport neighborhood.
Great. Well, maybe you could give them some flyers, and if that date doesn't suit them, I'd be happy to come out to them.
Okay.
Thank you, Betsy.
Yes, there's an upcoming neighborhood block party that's happening on September 28th from 1 to 5 p.m. at the garden. So if there's any educational materials or folks that want to attend and, inform folks about specifically this grant opportunity, that I think that would be a really good opportunity, meeting people where they are to inform them about this grant.
Sure,
So-
and that's what we have to do for our federal grant.
I don't know, I'm sure that you don't know off the top of your head when Eastport neighborhood is scheduled to be inventoried, but I just wonder if that's an opportunity, if there's a block club, if it would be useful for some of us.
Did you get the map?
I did, yeah.
They also have an established
Please,
neighborhood association. So,
Oh, okay, where is East, can you show me which one is Eastport?
yes.
We could schedule it so that it coincides. If that's, it's not a problem because we got to do the whole city anyway.
Just seems like
It
an
doesn't really-
opportunity.
it doesn't really,
If we're tasked with doing community engagement events and
we could certainly, schedule a day to just work in that area so we can talk about what we're doing, if that's what you're implying, because.
Well, the block party is.
It doesn't, to get from one side of Michigan City to the other, it's not,
Right,
like we're in
yeah.
Chicago here, so it's not gonna, we can coincide, no problem.
I was more offering to support, but if you'd be willing to, it just seems like an opportunity.
Sure.
The other thing I could do is, if they're interested, is come up with a tree and the kids could help me plant it. Unless they're already gonna do that. Because it's really boring for kids to listen to an adult about how to plant a tree, but if they get to plant it, it's not that
And
boring.
play in the dirt.
And I've done that a number of times with school-age kids. It's really good to get them at about 8 years old, so they're strong enough to use a shovel, but they're not interested in are they impressing the other boys and girls around them. But so if they are interested in doing that as part of their block party in September.
Well, let me ask this, though. So that's a Saturday on September 28th for the block party, of course. It's going to be on the weekend. So but you all would be working on a Saturday, right?
No, I can't be here that day because I'm gonna be in Minnesota on that day, but I can have one of my staff members there.
So doing the inventory in that area.
And just kind of give you a little demo on what we're doing.
Oh,
I could have a certified arborist there to just talk about it.
how's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good too.
It's
So
also the day of the IAA tree climbing competition in LaPorte,
Okay.
Oh.
so I know one of my staff members was working that.
Busy day.
What's that?
Busy day.
And I just scheduled the annual Girl Scout car
I'm
wash.
almost positive I can get somebody here. I'll commit to it.
Okay.
Just an idea.
And that's 1 to 5 in the afternoon. Okay. Okay.
And it would basically be just kind of showing people what we do,
So,
why
yeah,
we're doing it.
I think that sounds good.
yeah, I think so. Just maybe
Good
even
time.
coming with just some general information of who you are, what you do, and things like that. So there's a lot of homeowners in Eastport. I anticipate a lot of them will be there. So fingers crossed. But at least coming to meet some of the neighborhood association leadership, I think, is really a good idea as well. So especially our president, who is very involved in sustainability and environment and things like that. So.
Yeah, and if any tree board representatives can be there to represent tree board, that would be great. I unfortunately have an obligation that day for Girl Scouts, but could see if I could stop by.
Well, Dominique, were you planning to attend?
Yeah.
Then we have
My weekends are very encumbered at the garden, so I'm there almost every Saturday.
And the tree board is covered.
So yeah, the tree board is covered.
Oh, and I can provide you with, if you want any handouts, like on general tree care, we have that.
It'd be great to have.
And I think it would be a good idea to also get on the neighborhood association's agenda as well. So they meet monthly, and I think it's either every second or third Monday of the month over at the fire station on Michigan Boulevard. I know their next meeting is actually the day before this event, September 16th. So.
When you say get on their agenda, you mean send somebody over there, or?
Right, so since like a representative from the tree board to do a presentation.
I do.
So, okay. Especially on this, because I think that this is really important and super vital for them to know that this exists. Because I don't think a lot of people know that this exists yet.
The grant?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Excellent. Betsy, anything else on the education and outreach?
Not at this time.
Do you want me to mark this?
Oh,
That's just to show you
Okay.
where they're starting.
or what
No, you want
number
me to
is it?
identify what
number is
Eastport
Eastport?
was.
Yeah.
What number?
I would, okay.
We can talk offline too.
Okay, so I would say 409.
Since Michael isn't here, should we summarize the Forester report in
Yes,
minutes?
yes. And I have that right here. Yeah. So this is Michael's Forester report, a monthly report for September. Completed an updated version of the forestry training manual. He purchased the supplies and made 6 employee handbooks. And he's working to finalize the training days. So kind of dovetails with what we had talked about earlier, I hope. Forestry Department bucket truck and chipper started working on the order for the truck supplies.
And my question was, has that truck been received here in Michigan City yet?
Good questions.
I would think that might take a little bit of a process. Oh,
I believe he has a truck, but he has no equipment for it.
okay.
Oh. Okay.
And then he started working with Great Lakes Urban Forestry on the tree inventory and got a nice update from Phil on that. Thank you again, Phil. Continued working with City Planning Department, engineer and inspections, plus addressing forestry calls and residential tree issues. And then the last item he has is worked on rewriting city ordinances for clarification. And he has submitted ordinance 102-41 to the Michigan City Council for approval. So I think the tree board would probably like to see what it was that he had submitted.
Yes, we would.
And I would just like to add there as maybe a long-term goal of the tree board is to, I think this is a long-term goal, but I believe it's CRTI, Chicago Region Trees Initiative, or Morton Arboretum. They have a website that lists model ordinances, and they have
Yes.
examples of bronze level, silver level, gold level. And, I think that we should take a look at what Michael has submitted, which I assume is an improvement from what was on the books before. But I think this is really important to focus on tree preservation in addition to planting. We can plant trees all day, but if we remove old trees, that sets us back. So I think in the long term, it would be great for us to try to work towards those higher levels of ordinances. That gets into a level of politics that maybe, I don't know if Michael can get into that or if we can get into that, but I would just propose to this tree board that be kind of a long-term goal for us.
Right, the Arbor Day Foundation also promotes tree ordinances, but not as specifically as the Morton Arboretum and CRTI does. And we have one, or we have information that is spread out in other ordinances that basically covers some of those things.
Okay, so I know,
So it's not starting from zero.
right.
Yeah.
So I know Michael wasn't able to be at this meeting, but he should be at the next meeting, and that'll be a good item for discussion. Okay, and then that's the forester's report there. And then the other thing, and I mentioned this in an email, and maybe this just rolls into old business, is the ordering of the trees, the DNR trees in the springtime.
And I'm actually very glad that Phil's here as we discuss that.
Good, yeah. So, I talked to Laura a little bit. I know she's ordered them. I think one year I ordered them as well. But then we always get into this complicated thing about how do we pay for them? You know, so Michael will need to order those, and then he's got the city funds in order to pay for those, you know, online, and that's a nice, smooth process. Trees can be ordered, 100 trees in a bundle, you know, so last year we ordered 700 trees. We had a couple hundred left over. So I'm suggesting 500 trees, but, you know, I'd like to discuss that. And what I sent out this afternoon was a link to the DNR's usual suspects, I'll put it, because they, you know, until the October date opens and you can order, it's not, you know, set in stone what trees they will have available, but those are the ones that they usually have available. So I'm suggesting 500 trees, so that's only 5 species. And I had some suggestions, so I'll find that.
And I have some questions. Are these
Great.
suggestions? Because I do have
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So,
looked at the larger list
yeah.
as well.
Right, oh yeah, because I meant to also put serviceberry and sycamore on there. I absolutely adore serviceberry. I can't believe I left it off this list. But and I think we should put them for Michael, our suggestions in the order that we'd like to get the trees, because it's like, well, if that's not available, then I'll get this, and
I
so
do
on
have-
down the road.
I have some
Yeah.
thoughts, and I would like to just read this for everyone in the room. These
Sure.
are kind of the initial suggestions.
Yes,
Which is more than we can likely order.
right,
The initial suggestions were pawpaw, black cherry, American plum, black chokeberry, common chokeberry, black oak, buttonbush, tulip tree, Washington hawthorn, and white pine. We've also heard serviceberry and sycamore. I have some thoughts as well. My first question would be, in past events, do you have a sense of if there were certain species that were left over?
oh, leftover.
Hickory.
Hickory was?
The
Okay, because that was a
hickories were not
suggestion.
very viable.
Oh, they didn't look good, right,
Okay.
last year. The other I love gum trees, but they're the ones that produce those,
Same
don't
here. So we don't
step on me fruit. So people tend to not like them, you know, to put in their yards.
Now remember, these are trees more for private property, because you wouldn't want to put one of these tiny saplings on the tree lawn.
Right,
So I think we should be promoting people to plant these in their yard where they can really baby them.
I would definitely agree that we provide at least one oak species.
good.
I think we should have an oak and have alternate oaks if that oak isn't available.
Yes,
I also agree. I think someone commented on the email chain, suggested white pine. I think it's a good idea to have a
oh yeah.
conifer.
I have white pine on there, and Jim said he liked that as well, because people tend to come up and say, do you have an evergreen? You know,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a good candidate.
I would also, two of my favorites that at our NERC seed plantings
Yes.
and community tree plantings we have found to actually be pretty hardy have been linden
oh, okay.
and
AKA basswood.
basswood and the birches. I know some people don't like birches in residential too close to the building. I guess they can drop and things like that. I'm spitting all this out, but I'm kind of different.
If the river birch is on that list, that's a great tree for this area.
Those are just my thoughts on kind of my pet trees. But I'm curious what others think. There was some conversation on the email chain that maybe we reduce the number of shrubs.
That was from me.
Yeah, because we do have quite a few on there. I know that redbud is, I think personally, overplanted here,
Right.
but it sure is popular.
I didn't put it on there
Okay.
because
Let's
there's
not-
so many
There's so many,
around.
there's so many, yeah.
I guess what I'd say number one with the bullet pawpaw, because everyone asks for that.
Do they really?
And it's gonna be out, as, you know, this,
Well,
2
don't
minutes
you
after
have
it
to have
opens.
several?
You have to have two, at least two.
You have to have at least two, and you have to have them from different seed stock.
If that's what you, if you're going.
If you're going for fruit.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone wants.
But if people are asking for them, I would agree. I think it's a great outreach tool. The Indiana Banana, like I've heard
Yeah.
other
Yep.
groups across the country using it as an outreach tool. But I think we just need to be clear to people that if they're looking for fruit, that they need to source.
Maybe get another one themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say number two, the white pine, because again, I think we need an
Yeah,
an
put that on the
evergreen.
list.
And then three, I'd say some kind of oak, and I'm fine with putting down, you know, this oak or this or this or this.
Well, my personal favorite is the chinkapin oak.
I like
but,
chinkapin, I have one.
you know, and some people are overwhelmed with the idea of a giant oak tree, and it's not as big if they're talking about putting it in their
But
yard.
chinkapin's very hardy, correct?
Mhm.
And as well as shingle, chinkapin.
It's also real nice shingles, where I've been working.
Yeah, shingle
Okay.
oak is a nice, very good tree.
But chinkapin is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a little bit more.
It's a little
moderate
more,
size?
it's a little more columnar,
Okay.
is, if I can pronounce that. And it's probably not as tall as your average red oak at maturity. Would
Not
you
as
say?
spreading.
Not as
Nor a
spreading.
single stem and lateral branch similar to a pin oak.
Okay.
Okay, and then,
Can be. I mean, I've seen them.
Right.
good, those are, so I'd say
They're not-
one,
They're not globular, like spread,
Okay.
like a bur oak or a white oak.
The
Yeah, I've seen
tulip
some really
tree, I
good,
think, is always a good choice.
Is it popular? Do people tend to take it?
Yeah, well, it's the state tree of
Yeah.
Indiana.
but I was gonna say,
As an alternate at least.
okay.
Growing, right?
I'm putting in my next two to think about. Serviceberry, it's a fantastic four-season tree.
Bird habitat.
Yes, well, that's why I brought it up.
And it would be nice to offer at least one thing that's a little smaller.
Yes,
Yes.
speaking of, I think we should offer at least one shrub.
Mm-hmm.
So far, we don't have any, you know, like, so gray dogwood or chokecherry or
I would just ask for the,
Bush.
button
button
bush.
bush.
I like the button bush is a, you know, really interesting plant. And with the dogwood, we had so much confusion the last two times we offered that, because people think it's gonna be that big showy flower.
Oh.
It never is, we
Uh-huh.
have to explain it. And, so I think we should leave that out.
I would only say for dogwood, and you can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. The research we've done on Communitree that Jess Vogt has done out of DePaul, the trees planted through Communitree, the dogwoods, had a lower success rate than some of the others that we planted.
Really?
And I don't know if that's because it tends to be understory. I've started to through NERC say, I'll give you a dogwood if you can show me that you're going to baby it. So I don't know if you have thoughts about
What
the
dogwoods were
hardywood.
they?
A variety. She studied it as, you know, all
Because
dogwoods.
Michigan City, you know, you gotta really think about this microclimate that you have here, because the lake kind of creates its own climate.
Okay.
So what's growing here is gonna be so much different than what you're gonna see in South Bend or LaPorte or Chicago, which is why I really like some of the trees you mentioned, like the pawpaws and the birch trees, I think would be really good.
Okay.
As Betsy said, for this area, you know, river birch. You know, and if you got a little further inland, I might not say that, you know, one of the biggest takeaways I have here is that you got a diversity going. You're also planting, because it's private property, you have the latitude to go with ornamentals and evergreens, which is great, because I think we should be somewhat mindful of trying to stay away from some of the trees that we're gonna be putting in the parkways.
Very
Yes.
true.
There's a lot of tree planting going on.
Which would likely
We're gonna
be
be
the
using those
chinks, yeah.
tough urban trees that we know. And I like to hear that you're staying away from things like hybrid elm and honey locust and hackberry, because we're gonna be using those pretty heavily.
Oh, okay.
What, will you be, do you anticipate planting tulip trees?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so maybe we should leave that off on
Okay.
this.
Yeah, I think they're good street trees, and there is a moraine sweet gum that unless it gets mowed down to the ground and resprouts again from the stump, we won't have the, for,
Well, I don't, it's what the DNR provides, so I don't know what, you know.
Right, we
Right,
should
right.
have plenty of alternates.
because I think I ought to put sweet gum, some, recommend.
Well, so we won't,
Mike will be
we
there.
get five, right. So we, five, so I think we're all good with pawpaw first, white pine, and then three, one, and oak.
I like white pine. Let me just ask,
Yes.
would you say in terms of hardiness, because we're relying on residents to water these, is white pine a good option for a conifer, or is there something
No,
that
I
would
like white pine.
be? Okay.
And I think that's
Want
the
to stay
only,
away from, you, obviously your Austrians and your Scotches and all
Yeah.
that. And a lot of the spruce trees are having issues now with
I hate spruce.
many, sudden needle drop, of course, and rises very.
and I think DNR is only offering native trees, but they somehow have Norway spruce on there. But I didn't even want to include that one.
White pine is a really good go-to.
Okay.
Okay, so
Private property.
that seems like three, pawpaw, and oak,
Pawpaw, white pine, I'm on board with those.
and the third, like some kind of oak.
I think chinkapin is a great idea, unless you think that might be overplanted on city. I know that's a
No,
popular street tree.
shingle, I mean, that's one tree I would certainly not argue with seeing more of if we
Okay,
are planting on
great.
parkways and you see on private property.
And what I'd like to do with the oak is say, we like chinkapin, but if that's taken, then this other
Then
oak or this oak or this
Sure,
oak,
sure.
I want an oak and
Yeah, how about a
position.
shingle oak as a second choice?
We'll be, I anticipate using a lot of swamp whites on the parkway because of the
Okay, so
adaptiveness of
let's
that,
skip
so
that.
skip that one.
Okay,
So chinkapin or shingle is a backup.
or black oak as the third backup.
How do you feel about black oak? Is
Black
that
oaks,
is
dudes.
pretty hardy? Okay.
Okay, so that's
But
position number
it's, it would be tolerant of other.
Yeah, well, I think on private property again, where you've got lots of soil and protection from different things, I think you're in a similar microclimate here in Michigan City where I think they would do really well.
Okay, so
Black oak.
we've got pawpaw, white pine, and some kind of oak. Do we want to offer serviceberry?
Yeah, sure.
I like that. It's something smaller. It's
Go
something
ahead.
pretty, and it's something for wildlife.
You've made me very happy. And the birds. Okay, and then river birches for the fifth one?
That's good.
Or buttonbush, we don't have a shrub.
My question with buttonbush is only, does it do okay if it's not in a very wet area? I only ask because I tried to plant one in a dry, sandy area. And
Yeah, it definitely is gonna wanna be near the hydric soils.
I think we
Right,
would just need to make
right.
that very clear to people. I personally prefer serviceberry to that because
Okay,
aren't there two forms
Okay,
of
maybe
serviceberry?
buttonbush could be our alternate.
A
There's,
more shrub-like and a more tree-like?
they're really growing a lot of good single stems now.
Oh,
I've
okay.
seen that are borderline like shade trees almost.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But you could get I think here again, I would do multi-stem on private property.
Okay.
I would, because you're gonna have other single stem trees.
Sure.
And mix it up a little.
Or is there another shrub that you would recommend?
I have planted the chokeberry, is it chokeberry? that was
there's
in there?
both chokeberry and chokecherry.
Those,
What kind of viburnum?
Arrowwood.
Arrowwood?
I don't know,
I have-
I don't remember if they offered that, let me check.
Black Hawk.
I have two of those in my
Black
yard and
Hawk
they're
would be even
beautiful
better.
and they flower.
Black Hawk is native to the area.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
is nine bark native?
Yes,
Is
and
that-
Yeah, nine bark is on their list, I don't recall seeing those others on the list.
Nine bark. I have a nine bark
That
on my
has done-
property,
Me
and
too.
it took off as a shrub and just took over this whole area that was nothing would grow on. It's beautiful.
I would say that near me, my neighbors have had successful nine bark, and I have planted chokeberry that was immediately chewed on by the deer. So I'm begging you not to bother with chokeberry.
Okay,
Chokecherry, chokeberry.
well, I think we have, lots and alternatives as well. And then we'll leave it to, what Michael is ordering it. Yeah, river birch is definitely on here, shingle oak is on here, Shumard oak is on there. How about silver maple? I'm kidding.
Oh, Tree of Heaven.
Oh, God, yeah, for Jim, yes.
I like that to give, what if we give Michael this list?
And then to his
And then-
discretion.
Give him the list and
Yeah.
alternates for each one.
So oaks, white pine, pawpaw,
Yeah,
serviceberry,
yeah,
river birch,
yep.
and either viburnum or ninebark would be our recommendations to Michael.
Our recommendation, and then 500, I'm thinking,
I
yeah,
think 500 is good.
yeah.
So we just want five species of these.
Well, we want 50 of 10, but we can't get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well.
That's very good. I'm getting back on schedule here. Okay, so that's fantastic. And then I asked Michael to look into the day he can order it, because there's, as Laura mentions, there's conflicting information. It's either October 1st, which is a Tuesday, or the first Monday of October, which is the 7th. So anyway, I asked him to check to confirm that.
Okay.
Okay, so then that was the old business on the trees. The other old business is voting on changing the day of the monthly tree board meetings, which I'd like to defer until we have everyone here and
Yes.
can discuss it, so.
I would just ask though, Dominique, since we have you here, and I don't think you were here at the last discussion, what days of the week at 5:30 tend to work for you, generally?
It depends. So either Tuesdays or Wednesdays. So I just happened to be here because I didn't have like a grant due or a meeting run over, so I was able to make it. But Wednesdays still are okay for me for now.
Okay, so Tuesdays or Wednesdays would generally be your preferred? Okay. Thank you, I just wanted to note that.
Okay, and then on to new business, which is, I was gonna bring up the board budget, but we've covered that. Any other new business anyone wants to bring up? Yes?
I have some. Sorry, I'm
Yes,
just reorganizing some minutes here.
thank you for doing that.
I'm not used to it, so. I did just want to mention that I had a conversation with Indiana University. Let me try to find this email so I can just read it directly to you. They sent me some language that I could just read to you. This is an opportunity. The Indiana University Environmental Resiliency Institute has a cohort program. NERCS's participated in the past for their climate fellow, but helped us do greenhouse gas inventories and climate action plans for the region. Going into, let's see. So the program involves that cohort members that are IU students, typically pretty advanced students, like, it's not your lower level undergraduates. Let me make sure I'm reading the correct thing. We would be paired with a fellow through their program and receive an urban tree canopy cover, land cover analysis done by Davie Resource Group. Now I bring this up because my question to them when they mentioned this was, we already have this $1 million grant.
Right,
There's going to be an actual.
It's already under contract with our.
It is, that specific, okay.
We're already doing it.
That was my question, is just if any of that GIS desktop-based work would be included. So that's a no, I just wanted to confirm. GIS analysis and deep community engagement done by the fellow to create, that's already being done, priority planting area shape files. Planting and maintenance, so it sounds like all of the things are, I just wanted to confirm, that's all being covered by the grant, so it would be redundant. Okay,
Right.
so I told them that I would share that with all of you.
Great, thank you.
As I suspected,
We're
not really
covered.
needed here.
Isn't your grant just for the public trees,
Yes.
not the private trees?
No.
Maybe they can do the private trees.
That could be a question for them.
Well, as far as the canopy cover analysis, though, it covers everything. But
Oh,
for
okay.
tree planting, I still think it's comparing apples to apples, because the tree planting, the tree planting plan we're doing is for the public right-of-way trees, but also parks, 2 cemeteries, 2 golf courses, and all village-owned properties.
Okay.
So we're covering quite a bit of private, well, not necessarily private,
I mean,
not right-of-way, yeah. But the canopy cover study analysis covers the whole site.
Okay,
Because the stem by stem tree inventory that needs to be done for a tree planting plan and pruning and removal priorities can really only be done in trees that you can manage.
okay,
And I don't really see how anybody else could do that with private property trees because it would require that you
yeah,
on everybody's property.
Get permission.
yeah.
So it's not realistic.
Yeah,
to
it
do it.
doesn't sound like they want to
Or
do
aerial.
little pieces of this. They should probably look for a municipality that
That doesn't have, that didn't get a
full-
grant.
Doesn't have no
Yep.
valid ground.
Yeah.
That's what I suspected, but so confirmed, I will relay that back to them.
And I'm glad you mentioned the cemeteries, because I know in the last big storm, we lost a lot of trees in the
Greenwood.
cemetery, yeah, Greenwood Cemetery. Yeah. So I'm glad we'll be replanting in there. That's good.
They probably don't want trees in there.
There's not a lot of
But
space.
we want
for
them, well, there is now, you know.
It's a maintenance headache for them.
It is.
Sure,
But it is amazing how the community really uses that as a
yeah.
park,
Yes.
as a
Yes.
community anchor, if you will.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to comments. Any comments from the board members? Anything? I'll just say my usual bird-related item, or a bird-related item, and that is that it's spring migration time. And so, this week we're having millions and millions, I think 2 nights
Oh
ago,
my
4 million birds flew over Indiana, and a couple nights before that, 11 million birds. So turn out your outside lights if you can, and be on the lookout for birds, who love trees.
Can you call my neighbors?
Yes. Any other board comments on anything? Okay, how about for the public?
Scott Melantur, Kenwood Place. I just wanted to say I've noticed a lot of tree board postings on Facebook. So whoever's up in the game there, it's getting noticed because I've never clicked on showing the tree board. So
Oh,
I'm seeing a bunch of new
Well, good,
postings there.
good. I kind of was holding off because I have tried to reach out to the city IT, because there was some communication about, going under the city's Facebook page. But since we're now called Friends of Michigan City Tree Board, we never purported to be an official site. So I was kind of holding off on things, but then since I wasn't hearing back, I thought, well, I'm just gonna, flood it with information, so.
I'm sure if they had a problem with,
They would hear.
they would-
We did due diligence.
We did, and we may hear in the future, and that's
But
fine.
I agree, you're doing a
The thing is
fantastic.
about ownership of it, that somebody leaves the tree board and doesn't take the administrative login.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they really cared about.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
last note, unfortunately, the municipal calendar still has this meeting at 6:30, which is why I showed up at 6:30.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Because I know at the last meeting, you had a discussion with Mike too, and Mike let he said he corrected it one place, but needs to correct it a second place, but it is definitely changed to 5:30.
It's right here.
So
Okay.
is that his job to
Yeah,
correct that?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it wasn't even 6, it was 5:30? Oh, yeah, but I was in another meeting anyway, so.
Yeah.
And we have noted in the past your concern that this meeting time overlaps with another.
Yeah.
We're not voting today, and we haven't
Right.
yet on changing the date, just because we haven't had everyone here to vote on it, but we do have that.
Because the park board is overlapping.
Yes.
That's another big,
And I noted that, we probably can't make sure that we don't overlap with any other
Right,
city affairs, but
right.
park board is an important one. I could see
Yeah.
that people would be interested in
maybe
voting.
just meetings or something to be off their cycle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, I will note that the next meeting is gonna be, this is Wednesday, right? Wednesday, October 2nd at 5:30 PM, same bat channel.
Don't be comfortable, it's gonna change at the next meeting through November.
Wait,
And we will make sure to make a note to get with Michael and get the.
and
Not on Facebook.
when's the final farmer's market?
Thank you. So that coming Saturday. So, but anyway, the next meeting is gonna be October 2nd, 5:30, here at 301 East 8th Street. And looking at my calendar, our last tree board gathering at the farmer's market will be Saturday, October 5th.
Okay.
And so we'll kind of have to coordinate who's bringing the table and, all that kind of thing. Laura said, I think she had a couple tulip tree saplings or seedlings she might have.
I'm sure they can wait till.
Yeah, so we might have that at the October farmer's market. Okay, any other business and
I have a
comments? Yes.
question. Some of the materials that we have are in Laura's possession, the handouts and piles of things. She's got a big bin.
And the flag and banner.
Maybe I should contact her to see if I can pick some of that up for our September 17th thing.
That would be great. And if you need me to help, like pick it up in the meantime,
Okay.
And if you need a truck, let me know. My husband has a truck.
it's not that
No,
big.
we
It's
don't
not that
need a
much.
truck. We don't, they have all the tables and chairs and stuff at the
Happy to
library.
volunteer myself.
But we bring at the library.
No, I'm talking about the library. So, we don't need a ton of materials there, but there are some that are already made up.
And everybody loves a flag.
Sure.
Actually, I have a flag from Arbor Day, because I think they send them out every year. So I do have a flag. But she's
Okay.
got all the other stuff.
Right.
Okay, so anything else? If not, with the agenda being completed, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second? Aye. Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Right.
Meeting adjourned at 7:07. Thank you all very much. Thank you for attending. Thanks for your patience for a long meeting.